You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the global dialects that native English speakers would have little difficulty adapting to their daily lives.
Greek to me.
Number 20, Russian.
New по-русски. Немного.
We're glad that this list is about learning a new language rather than learning to read a new language. That's because Russian isn't exactly the easiest to write, read, and comprehend. Still, phonetic learning of Russian is possible, thanks to the scores of resources made available to the public.
The trick with grammar is that in Russian, grammar does not drive our communication. Grammar does not carry a lot of meaning. Instead, it connects the words that we know into sentences.
These include online tools such as Babbel or Rosetta Stone, as well as old-school in-person classes. After all, Russian is a beautiful language, and those who can successfully adapt the challenging phonetics into their daily routines will come out feeling accomplished on the other end.
Why are you running to speak the Russian?
It's a long story. Let's just say there was a man involved.
Of course there was.
Number 19, Hungarian.
Drego anja men surtet otam.
What the hell is that all about?
That's Hungarian for darling mother and beloved papa. Oh, I forgot my watch. I'll be right back.
The language examples contained at the bottom of this list admittedly possess more of a challenge than the typical Romance dialects. Hungarian, for example, with its verb conjugations, suffix choices, and complex word formations might prove daunting for those just starting out on their language journey.
Let's first see how Hungarian people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Szia, Lívia vagyok. Örvendek. Hi, I'm Livia. Nice to meet you.
This is why we recommend taking it slow and learning the basics first, preferably in small doses every day. The end results will certainly be worth it, but consider Hungarian not exactly as a starter language. Instead, think of it as something you tackle after retaining a couple of different global tongues under your belt.
Do you speak Hungarian?
Not very well.
You'll get better here.
Number 18, Welsh.
Well, does she speak Welsh?
I don't think so. She looked very bored during tonight's episode of Probably Come.
Learning a new language, like anything else, requires time and patience. Welsh has gained a certain reputation over the years as being an unwieldy and difficult language to learn for native English speakers.
Sut wyt ti'n cadw'r iaith efo dy blant?
Wel, dwi'n siarad Cymraeg efo plant fi. Mae teulu fi gyd yn siarad Cymraeg.
However, there are also many sources out there that claim this reputation is both unfair and unearned. For starters, there's a lot of consistency within the Welsh alphabet, especially in how it is utilized in sentences.
So my friends at home can't believe I'm getting applause for saying the alphabet, and I'm chuffed about it. So it's
There's also a strong influence from Irish and Latin, which can make learning Welsh feel somewhat natural and easy for English speakers seeking to throw themselves a challenge. Number 17, Frisian. You may be forgiven for not being immediately familiar with the term Frisian.
Old Frisian and Old English were very close to each other, but that doesn't mean that Frisian and English are mutually intelligible today.
It refers to a cluster of West Germanic languages localized in and around the North Sea. That said, these common dialects from both Germany and the Netherlands hold roots in the Middle Ages and are generally considered to be a little similar to English.
First, some basic phrases in West Frisian. Hello.
Hoi.
Good morning.
Goeiemorgen.
As a result, picking up Frisian might feel like a breeze, particularly to those who already speak German or Dutch. But even if one doesn't, many linguists acknowledge that Frisian remains one of the easiest languages for English speakers to learn.
If you're interested in learning Frisian, one place you can start is learnfrisian.com.
Number 16, Haitian Creole.
Bonsoir famille, hello family.
It's one of the most beautifully vibrant languages of the Caribbean islands. Simple, straightforward, and quite easy to learn. It's Haitian Creole, and new speakers will likely be refreshed by this dialect's lack of common verbal stumbling blocks.
Moi, te, apprendre Creole. I learned Creole.
For example, there are no silent letters that are usually found within Haitian Creole's parent language, French. Additionally, the phonetic pronunciation and minimalist approach to grammar make latching onto the basics super easy, even for those just starting out. There's also certain commonalities to basic French, meaning that if one already knows that language, then Haitian Creole should be a breeze.
Manger means to eat. So if I want to say I eat, I would say moi manger.
Number 15, Filipino Tagalog.
You want to speak Tagalog, the mother tongue of the Philippines. Let's start with hello.
Mabuhay. Say it with me.
Mabuhay.
The rudimentary elements of Filipino Tagalog may speak to its origins as a localized subdivision of traditional Filipino, but this simplicity also makes it easy to learn. The roots of the language stretch across a varied linguistic family tree, borrowing from Spanish, Malay, and even some basic English words.
The majority of Filipino people understand English. But if you ask in Filipino, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to ask it. Nagsasalita ka ba ng Ingles?
There are noted differences with regards to phrasing and conjugation, however, and adapting Filipino Tagalog to one's daily conversations will take time. But learners will find that by either diving into language apps or going all in with cultural immersion, fluency becomes less a distant goal and more an inevitable reward.
Hanggang sa muli!
Number 14, Swahili.
Baba yangu alikuwa mwalimu wa Kiingereza hapo Zanzibar.
Telling his life story.
Asante sana.
Tutuanana.
There is a go.
You speak Swahili?
You down? This East African language is another that contains roots from dialects like Portuguese, German, and Arabic. There are also some commonalities with other languages on this list that make Swahili comparatively simple.
The informal way to introduce yourself in Swahili is habari. Mimi ni Medina. Nina furaha kukutana na wewe.
This is especially true for English speakers, as the language borrows quite a few words from English that are only slightly altered, such as penseli for pencil and machine for machine. Writing out Swahili as you learn can be a helpful tool for those seeking to master the language, which is spoken by around 60 to 150 million people worldwide. Plus, once you've gotten a hold of Swahili, tackling other African languages becomes far less intimidating.
Tuonane.
Number 13, Malay. Several countries around the world, including Brunei, Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia, speak Malay, which makes it a useful language to have under your belt.
Next up, we're going to learn a few basic colors, or warna, warni in Malay. Red is merah, not mira.
Surprisingly, the actual process of learning the language is easier than one might imagine. For starters, the Malay language also uses the Latin alphabet, which is shared by English, so at least you don't have to worry about encountering strange letters. Also, Malay keeps things relatively straightforward grammatically, with no complex verb conjugations, tenses, or tricky plurals.
So when you greet people, you say the word apa kabar, which means how are you? Apa kabar.
Although it's worth mentioning that different countries and regions put their own cultural spin on the language, so a deep understanding of these nuances will serve to enhance one's fluency.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Number 12, Indonesian.
Kami dengar Anda bisa membawa kita orang ke hulu sungai.
Your Indonesian sucks.
Language buffs will likely have varying opinions on which continents possess the most challenging dialects, but many agree that Indonesian stands out as one of the easiest languages to learn outside of Europe.
Let's first see how Indonesian people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Halo, nama saya Vira. Hi, my name is Vira.
One major reason for this is that Indonesian is a phonetic language, meaning that words are pretty much pronounced as they are spelled. What you see is what you get, literally. While there aren't a lot of overlaps in vocabulary between English and Indonesian, it does borrow some words from Dutch, which, like English, is also a West Germanic language. Also, Indonesian doesn't use grammatical case or gender, which leaves learners with less guesswork and fewer awkward mistakes.
Sampai jumpa.
Number 11, Romanian.
Do you speak English?
I speak Romanian. No way.
When we think of Romance languages, the first ones that come to mind are typically Italian, Portuguese, or French. Romanian also belongs to this family, however, and as a result could potentially be learned with ease.
To start off, when you meet somebody, you're gonna say bună.
This is provided, of course, that the speaker is already somewhat familiar with a language such as Spanish, since Romanian actually shares some common phrasings.
What is it?
Nivel.
Nivel?
Yeah.
Same.
But even without prior familiarity, it's not impossible for someone to learn Romanian cold. It may just require extra work. This added complexity stems from the influence of Romania's Slavic neighbors, such as Ukraine, Moldova, and Hungary, which has shaped its otherwise romantic roots.
Pe curând. See you soon.
Number 10, German.
Entschuldige dich sofort! Ich hab nicht deine Schuhe gestohlen.
Is he giving up? He says he wants you to apologize. He didn't steal your shoes.
Admittedly, German sounds pretty intense, but thankfully it's not as hard as it seems. Like most of the languages on this list, German uses the same alphabet as English. Both languages also use comparable stress and intonation patterns and share a number of vocabulary words.
Apple.
Apfel.
Banana.
Banane.
If you've ever ordered a pretzel or a bratwurst from a delicatessen, you've already got a few German words in your arsenal. One thing that might pose a problem, however, is the grammar, especially word genders.
For example, words ending in ung are almost always of the feminine gender in German.
For example, a spoon is masculine, a fork is feminine, and a knife is neutral. There doesn't seem to be any logic to it, but you'll probably forget once you get to Oktoberfest anyway. Number 9, Norwegian.
Skale. It's the name of the band. Skale?
Oh, it means skull.
You speak Norwegian?
Well, I'm a forensic anthropologist. I know how to say skull in just about every language.
The first of a few Scandinavian languages to make this list, Norwegian is one of many languages whose word order and ways to pronounce words may be familiar to English speakers.
Vi skal snakke om 3 ordgrupper. We're going to talk about 3 groups of words.
Plus, verbs are a snap. You don't even have to conjugate them based on person or number, and conjugating for tenses usually only means adding 1 letter. Put that all together, and that means this North Germanic language is relatively simple for Anglophones to pick up. Though it began as Old Norse in roughly the 8th century, modern Norwegian dates back to the 16th century, and today roughly 5 million people across the world speak it. Just think of all the new friends you could make if you spoke Norse.
If you want to learn more about Norwegian language or Norwegian grammar, I would highly recommend you to join us in our online or classroom-based courses. Jeg håper å se deg der. I hope to see you there.
Number 8, Swedish. No, not that kind of Swedish. Spoken in Sweden, parts of Finland, and probably by some overzealous IKEA employees, Swedish actually shares some characteristics with English. Both are Germanic languages, both have 2 genders, and both use a similar subject-verb-object syntax.
Number 2, tack så mycket. Thank you very much.
What's more, both languages share many similar words like absurd, December, and orange. What is different about Swedish is its use of a pitch accent, meaning you can differentiate between different words based on the tone or pitch in which they're spoken, which makes it sound kind of sing-songy. Okay, the pronunciation can be kind of tough, but even so, it's estimated by some that it'd only take an English speaker about 24 weeks or 600 hours to learn Swedish.
We are now done with our list. Hej då!
Number 7, Danish.
Älskar. Skjuvning försiktig. Skraldespand. Plattentreppi.
What was that word they said when they showed me? Skraldespand? What's that mean in Danish?
Mastery of the Scandinavian languages such as Swedish or Norwegian will likely go a long way in learning Danish. This is due to the fact that native speakers of these languages can generally translate the others with relative ease.
Hej, jeg hedder Louise. Hyggeligt at møde dig. Hi, I'm Louise. Nice to meet you.
That said, English speakers can also expect Danish to be approachable, even without any prior experience or exposure. This language from Denmark does admittedly possess more vowels than English, but the vocabulary and grammar should make sense after some lessons. It's a straightforward Scandinavian dialect that sounds lyrical, pleasant, and beautiful.
Dansk på 3 minutter lesson. Vi ses næste gang.
Number 6, Afrikaans.
You know, I didn't know we had that much in common. And besides, you're a beautiful lady.
Sineno.
Yeah, c'est bon.
Used mainly in South Africa and Namibia, Afrikaans is spoken by an estimated 15 to 23 million people around the world.
Saying thank you in Afrikaans is very easy. It's just one word, dankie.
It's actually a descendant of the Dutch language, with roughly 90 to 95% of its vocabulary coming from Dutch. However, all things considered, Afrikaans is a simpler language than either Dutch or English. There are no verb conjugations like speak, spoke, and spoken, or noun genders as in a language like French, and its sentence structure is relatively logical. So once you have a few words memorized, you'll be able to start building sentences in no time. Good luck, or geluk.
Lekker dag.
Number 5, Esperanto.
Can I interest any of you in a third-generation bootleg of Scritti Politti's Forgotten Christmas album?
No, thank you.
It was recorded in Esperanto.
Created in 1887 by Polish doctor L.L. Zamenhof, Esperanto was intended to be a bridge between people of different nations, cultures, and native languages.
He was hopeful that this language would help promote international understanding and cooperation by transcending language barriers.
The idea was that this constructed language could easily be learned and spoken around the globe, enabling people to communicate through a neutral tongue.
La libro está sur la tablo. The book is on the table.
And it really is simple. The spelling is intuitive and the grammar rules are a breeze since it was planned without irregularities. Today it's spoken by about 2 million people worldwide to varying degrees, and aside from being easy to learn, it's also been shown that learning Esperanto makes it easier to learn a third language. So if you're interested in expanding your vocabulary significantly, Esperanto is a good start.
Mi esperas que quien vive nos levatero estos milda.
Wait a minute, I know this one. Don't tell me.
I hope when you come the weather will be clement.
I hope when you come, the weather will be clement.
Mister, don't tell me, I could have got that.
Number 4, Portuguese.
Get ready, Brazil. I now speak fluent Spanish.
Well done, Bart. But in Brazil, they speak Portuguese.
Ay, caramba, que mujer tonta. 20 horas de estudiar por nada.
It was called The Sweet and Gracious Language by Spanish author Miguel de Cervantes. Well, that's a ringing endorsement.
Hello.
Hola.
This Romance language is already spoken by over 250 million people in the world, and alongside Spanish, has been pegged as the fastest growing European language after English, according to UNESCO data.
Não, eu não falo inglês. No, I don't speak English.
One easy thing about Portuguese is the fact that if you can say something, you can ask it as a question. All you have to do is change your intonation. For example, we're here becomes we're here. Plus, its close relationship to Spanish means that learning Portuguese would give you a leg up to learn it as a third language. Win-win.
Português em 3 minutos lesson. Até a próxima.
Number 3, French.
Mais oui, la Tour Eiffel, comme c'est joli. I speak French. It just came out.
Français, la langue d'amour, or the language of love if you don't speak it yet. Spoken by 220 million people worldwide, this romantic romance language has a lot in common with English.
Salut, je m'appelle Ingrid. Enchantée de te rencontrer. Hi, I'm Ingrid. Nice to meet you.
In fact, according to some experts, almost half of all English words, or roughly 80,000 words, have their roots in French. This is a result of the Norman conquest of 1066, when William the Conqueror of Normandy invaded and became the first Norman king of England. So today, French is quite familiar to Anglophones, and therefore easier to learn. Yes, you'll have to power through the grammar, phrase structure, word genders, and weird accents, but isn't it worth it? French just has that certain je ne sais quoi.
Le français en 3 minutes. À bientôt pour la prochaine leçon.
Number 2, Italian.
Buongiorno. Signorine, piacere. Gli amici della vedetta ammirata da tutti noi, questa gemma propria della nostra cultura, saranno naturalmente accolti sotto la mia protezione per la durata del loro soggiorno.
Grazie. Bellissimo. Arguably the second language of love, Italian has this melodic quality to it you can't help but fall in love with.
Scusi, un caffè per favore.
Compared to English, Italian verbs can seem a little more complex, but don't worry, there are some words in common to help you out. Minute and minuto, paradise and paradise, impossible and impossibile, and many more. The fact that the Italian alphabet only has 21 letters to the English alphabet's 26 makes the language that much easier to master as well, with the letters J, K, W, X, and Y only being used in important words and names. And don't forget, you also have to learn the hand gestures.
Perché non tutto si può dire, ma per far capire quello che si pensa, allora ci si aiuta, perché a volte non è opportuno dire certe cose.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Spanish.
Cosas más extrañas has pasado.
Muy bien. You speak Spanish.
Well, I'm a native of Ciudad de Los Angeles.
One of the Iberian Romance languages, this Latin-based tongue is spoken by almost 600 million people worldwide and is recognized as an official language in more than 20 countries.
Hola, soy Lucia. Mucho gusto. Hi, I'm Lucia. Nice to meet you.
With so many people speaking Spanish, it makes for a very appealing option when it comes to choosing a second or third language, because you'll be able to communicate with that many more people. What's more, it's also fairly easy for Anglophones to learn, as about 30 to 40% of English words have a similarly spelled and pronounced Spanish equivalent that means the same thing, like family and familia. So what are you waiting for? You probably learned some in high school, so brush up. It'll be no problema.
Hasta la próxima. See you soon.
How many languages can you speak? Do you think it's ever too late to try learning something new? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.